Hi guys, welcome to today's Coffee and Crafts. So what I'm going to be doing is making a DIY silicone mold. I've tried this before with the soap and water technique and it didn't work out quite so great, mostly because of the humidity here in my house. It took forever to cure. So today I'm going to be using silicone caulking and some cornstarch to make a mold. As you can see, today I have my favorite coffee mug. I call it my cauldron mug because it kind of reminds me of a Harry Potter cauldron. And this was made by Carla at NBCCD. Now that we have our coffee and we're all ready, it's time for some crafts. Here are some of the molds I already tried to create using the water and soap method. They did eventually cure, but it took quite a long time, and some of them didn't really turn out the way I was hoping. So I actually have a bucket of different things that I'm going to try to be making a mold out of, including a Harry Potter snitch, this sword right here. I have a couple of buttons, a old time turner I was able to take apart, a really cool Disney key that my aunt and uncle got for me, a Little Mermaid locket my little sister got me, some more buttons, Harry Potter earring is kind of cool, this one's still a little bit sticky from last time. It's one of the ones that didn't quite turn out, but it's a Pirates of the Caribbean necklace. I have a Buffalo Bill earring I'm trying to get a cast of so I can make some charms. I have a digivice that would be neat. I'm going to try doing wood because I'm not sure if wood would work with this or not. Super Mario earring, and a cool coin that I found that's from my trip to Jamaica. So those are kind of the different things that we're going to try to make molds out of, and what I've already tried to make a mold out of. And yeah, that's the next step, is to set up our materials. So some of the things you're going to need for this project is some cornstarch. I'm going to use some acrylic paint so that I can see the molds a little bit better. You're going to need a caulking gun with some 100% silicone. You can see right there, it has to say 100% silicone or it will not work. And a mixing bowl to mix everything up, and probably a stick or skewer or something to mix at first because it's going to be very sticky. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is take your silicone and put it into a bowl, how much ever you're going to need. I'm going to make a few molds, so I'm going to use quite a bit. The next thing we're going to want to do is take a little bit of paint, just 1 or 2 drops would be good, just to give it a little bit of color so I can kind of see the difference between the two molds I've made. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is mix it really well. This is really sticky, so I'm using a dowel I have. You're just going to want to mix it up the best you can. Now that you got it mixed up as well as you can, what you're going to do is try to put in equal amount of cornstarch to what you did of the silicone. If you need more, just add more. And there we go. Now we're also going to stir this in the best we can and try to get it really mixed in there. Like, you want it to end up in the consistency of kind of like a Play-Doh or something. So I've mixed it with my stick really well, and there's still quite a bit of the powder in there. I had to add extra just so it'd be less sticky. It is still very sticky, as you can see. So now what I'm going to do is actually knead it with my hands so I can really work the powder and the cornstarch into the silicone. Some of it, you can see, is still sticking really badly to my hands. That's the stuff that was kind of on the inside that hasn't gotten at the cornstarch yet. So just keep moving it around and mixing it until you have like a Play-Doh sort of consistency to it. And look, it's not sticking near as much as it was. So just keep working on that for 2 to 3 minutes and you should have what you need to start making your molds. Okay, so I have my silicone at a really doughy texture. This is what it should look like. So we're gonna have a few minutes to work with it before it'll get too hard. So what I'm gonna do is make a surface to start putting the pieces into the molds. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna put down a surface. I just don't want this stuff sticking to my desk and kind of making a mess. I'm gonna take this out and start creating piles to make some molds. Okay, so the first thing I think I want to do is my Harry Potter golden snitch. This is one of my favorite things. So let's see if we can get a nice cast of the round part in the center here. So let's see, how's the best way of doing this? Maybe putting it in the best we can, and I'm gonna mold this kind of all the way around it because I'm hoping I can make a sphere with these when I'm done. So what I'll do is I'll block up one of the holes that the wings are in and then pour the silicone mold. I'll use it to pour resin through the mold. So there's that. I'm also going to do one of the wing because I would very much like to get a complete sort of set with this. This is getting really hard, really tough to work with. I probably should have started sooner or used a little bit less cornstarch. Okay, and I'm bringing up the edges so that when I do make it, I can kind of pour it in and have it there. Okay, so that's one sort of done. The next thing I want to make a mold of is this earring here. So we need a little bit for that one. So hopefully we can kind of get a good surface here. It's a little bit flat. Okay, so I'm just gonna push that right in and bring it up over the edges. Okay. Now I didn't go all the way through the bottom, so I'll let that one sit. Another thing I'd really like to get a mold of is my time turner. So I'm going to bring all the pieces out of the time turner and see if we can get a mold of that. Okay, so these are all my pieces of my time turner. We're going to do them each kind of separately. Okay, so I'm going to push that in really well. Okay, take a little bit more of this here. So again, I'm really pushing this in, really getting the shape that I want, and building it up kind of around the edges, so I'm getting the entire shape in there as much as I can. Now this stuff's getting really tough to work with, so I'm over my 3 minutes that I really had to work with it. So let's see if we can get this last one in here. I'm even going to use something to help me push it down a little bit more. Maybe make something not quite so round. Ooh, I know. I'm going to use this to help push it down. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do with this, because I'm worried that it's gone too hard, is I'm actually going to add some more silicone and mix it up a little bit more to see if that will help give me a little bit more time to work with it. Alright. Use my stick to really mix it up again, and we'll come back after I've mixed this a little bit. Okay, so I've let these sit overnight. I'm not sure if they're ready yet or not. They feel pretty good, especially these ones. These ones feel really good. These ones here are still a bit soft, so I'm not sure if these ones need more time or not. But we're going to take some of them out and kind of see what we have. Okay, so let's see if we can pull these off. I might have a hard time with them because, as you can see around the edges, it's kind of sticking. So I'm not sure how good this is going to turn out. Just do it nice and slow. Okay, well, we have a little bit of something there. As you can see, a lot stuck on. So I don't think these ones turned out very good. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of detail in there. So we'll take a closer look at those in a bit. So that one popped out really nice, really easy. So I can see here it didn't quite get deep enough, so we're definitely going to try that one again in a while. Yeah, so this feels pretty nice. Yeah, that one's not bad. Again, not a whole lot of detail. That one's a maybe. We'll see when we do kind of the test later. Again, this one's still pretty soft. On the bottom, it's still pretty sticky. But let's see if we can get it out anyway. Oh, no, if you look inside, it's still sticking. So the purple will have to wait. Since I'm working on molds, I'm going to try a couple of different mold making techniques. I have the sword that I also am waiting to dry here, and I've done it in each of the different techniques now, so I am going to try this with making a mold out of a glue gun and glue sticks with some plasticine clay, some air dry clay, and anything else I can find that's hanging around the house that might make a good mold. So I'm gonna start that. As you can see, I've learned a very valuable lesson. You want a case that can actually bend or move around. These came out really well, really nice detail, but I can't get it out. So I'm going to take it downstairs, put it back in the oven, melt it out, take out the sword and the earring, and try again with some tin foil. So after much fighting with the glue gun, I was able to get two different molds. One where I put the glue around and one where I baked some glue in the oven. Okay, now we're going to try it with a little bit of modeling clay. Now I've heated up the clay with my hands just a little bit. I'm going to make sure this is long enough to go in. Alright, now we're just going to press down into the clay as much as we can, just to get a nice solid imprint. And I'm going to push it up around the sides just a little bit, that way if it's a mold we don't have stuff spilling over the sides. So now let's carefully take this out. Try not to stretch it too much, so that way it still has the detail. Beautiful. So that definitely took the shape the best. Now we're gonna have to see if it can actually keep that shape when trying to make a mold of something. So here's some of the molds that I've made today. Okay, so I have the different molds set up. I have some UV resin, some chalk pastels, and some Pearl-Ex powder. So what I'm going to do is use these to color the different molds so I can tell which one's which, and when I demold them, which one has the best color. Okay, so I have some UV resin here. This is what I'm going to be using for the first try. So this reacts to light, so I am going to put this in each of the molds just to see how good we can get a mold out of these. The next thing you're going to want to do is have a UV light like this here. So we're going to use this to bake these, and we're just going to do it one at a time. So you can see them all here kind of next to each other, and it's pretty clear which one has the best detail. So for getting details in an at-home mold making, the clear winner is modeling clay.